Welcome back, ladies. Did you figure out who took Rainbow? We are on the final chapter. It's so sad but so exciting at the same time. Nancy Drew Clue Book, The Tortoise and the Scare. Did you figure out who took Rainbow? Let's read and see if you're right. The last chapter, chapter 10, is called Bestie for Bette. Wonder what that title means. Is that a clue? Let's find out. Ocean froze with the bottle of medicine in his hand. After he realized he was caught, he pulled off his baseball cap and sunglasses and put them in the front pocket of his hoodie. Did you guess it was for Ocean? Good for you if you did. Nancy stared down at his sneakers. He didn't wear boots like Belinda or Bob, but an old pair of tennis shoes. Nancy glanced sideways at her friends, seeing if they noticed too. Bess's eyes were wide. Ocean shoes were the type of sneakers that had made the footprints in Rainbow's habitat. It all lined up. I can explain, I swear, Ocean said, his cheeks bright pink. You should then, George replied. Everyone was so worried about Rainbow, Belinda thought she'd never see her again. Ocean put his face in his hands. He took a few deep breaths as if he was trying to calm himself down. If Nancy hadn't known how much confusion and panic he'd cause, she would have felt more sorry for him. I'm not a bad guy, really, Ocean tried. He sat down on the floor, leaning his back against the wall. I've been volunteering at the Wildlife Center for 3 months now. And just 2 weeks after I started, there was that huge rainstorm. Remember the one that knocked down the tree on Main Street? Nancy nodded. It had been a big story in River Heights. There was thunder and lightning and rain that came at you sideways. Their neighbor's car had to get fixed after a giant branch fell on it. What does a rainstorm have to do with Rainbow? Nancy asked. Well, the night of the rainstorm, the Wildlife Center got a leak in the roof right above Rainbow's habitat, Ocean continued. There was this huge gross puddle right in the middle of her home, and they needed to fix the roof and clean everything up, so Rainbow had nowhere to go. We were going to keep her in the back room, but we knew she'd be miserable there. She's used to crawling around and having free rein over the place. But you have a tortoise habitat at home, Bess said, finally putting it together. For your tortoise, Bette. Exactly, Ocean said. He seemed to brighten up at that, as if Bess understood him completely. So I was trying to be nice, and I said Rainbow could stay with Bette for a few days while the roof was getting fixed. And Belinda was so relieved because she knows how great I am with Bette. It's one of the reasons I wanted to volunteer at the center. I really love animals. If you love animals so much, why would you take one away from her home? George asked. She crossed her arms over her chest. Nancy could tell she was not liking Ocean's story. That's just it, Ocean replied, brushing his long blonde hair out of his eyes. When I took Rainbow back to my house, she loved being with Bette, and Bette loved being with her. I never seen either of them so happy, and I know what you're thinking. How can I tell if a tortoise is happy? Well, I can. And that's when I realized Rainbow was home. With Bette. With us. Did you tell Belinda about it? Nancy asked. She just wants Rainbow to be happy. She loves her so much, I'm sure she would understand. Well, that's a thing, Ocean said, holding up a finger. I did tell her. As soon as those 3 days were up, I brought Rainbow back to the center and I told Belinda everything. How Rainbow was eating more, and how she was more active, and how her and Betty liked to hang out in the same corner of the enclosure. They were so excited just to have a friend. But Belinda didn't want to hear it. She's so attached to Rainbow because Rainbow was the first animal she rescued for the center. It's part of her whole story. I knew there was no way she'd ever let her go. But did you ask her if Rainbow could come and live with you? George asked. I did. I said, Rainbow could always come live with Betty if she'd be happier here, Ocean said. I really tried. The worst part is, Betty's been depressed ever since. It's heartbreaking to watch. She just mopes around, and now I can see how sad Rainbow is, too. I didn't think I'd be hurting anyone. Not really. And I know I didn't go about it the right way, but I just wanted to help. Nancy let out a deep breath. She was starting to understand where Ocean was coming from. No matter how wrong it is to steal a tortoise from the center, he didn't think he was actually stealing Rainbow. He thought he was saving her. I know it's hard, but you're going to have to tell Belinda everything that happened. And why, Nancy started. And of course, Rainbow has to come back here to live at the center. Where's she now? I brought her home on my break, Ocean said. She's with Betty. They're together. Well, you'll have to bring her back as soon as possible, Nancy went on. She went to the door and gave Ocean her hand, helping him to stand up. Bess and George walked out of the room and they trailed behind them into the reptile hall. Come on. If you leave now, you can be back before we head home. It took Ocean half an hour to get back to River Heights Wildlife Center with Rainbow. He placed her gently back into her habitat and watched as she crawled toward a pile of strawberries. For a moment, Nancy was worried he might cry. There's Rainbow. Can you see her with the pile of strawberries? She's so cute. Bess came down the hall with Belinda and Bob. Bob's eyebrows were knitted together and his cheeks were bright red, like he might start yelling at any second. Where is she? He asked, his voice booming. She's here. She's okay, George said, pointing into the habitat. Well, I should hope she's okay, Bob cried. Belinda stared down at the tortoise, then leveled her eyes at Ocean. She looked so serious. It was such a change from how she greeted them that morning. Please, explain to me. I really want to understand. So sorry, Belinda, Ocean said, and this time his eyes really did fill with tears. He went through the whole story, telling her that he knew he didn't go about things the right way, but he really was just thinking of Betty and Rainbow. He also went into a long, weird tangent about animals and how he believed they were unique souls. I just didn't know what to do, Ocean said. It was like you didn't want to hear what I was saying. You were never going to let Rainbow leave the center, Ocean continued. Of course she wouldn't, Bob snapped. This is Rainbow's home. This is where she belongs. Belinda tilted her head to one side, considering everything that Ocean had said. And after a long while, she finally spoke. It's not an excuse, Ocean, she said. What you did was wrong, even if your intentions were good. But you were right when I said I couldn't hear that suggestion. I love Rainbow like she's my own pet, and it's hard for me to think about her not being here every day when I walk in the door. I'm glad she's back, she continued. I am. And I'll think about your suggestion. Maybe Betty can come visit Rainbow here at the center every weekend. That might work. And we could see how it goes. Maybe there are a few other options we can explore, keeping Betty and Rainbow's happiness in mind. Ocean's face brightened. He smiled, relieved. That would be great. She'd love that. But I'm afraid you'll have to stop volunteering at the center, Belinda went on. You've broken my trust, and that's no small thing. We'd love to have you as a visitor whenever you like. Just say the word. Ocean dabbed at his eyes and nodded. I understand. Nancy's stomach twisted in a knot. She knew it was the right decision, and it was what Belinda had to do. But it was still a little sad that Ocean wouldn't be able to come back to work. She wished none of this had happened in the first place. As for you girls, Belinda said, glancing at her watch, it's almost time for you to head back to school. You should all meet me in the gift shop for a special surprise. Belinda turned and went back down the hall, Bob following right behind her. He muttered something that sounded like unbelievable. It was only then that Nancy had the courage to say what she was thinking out loud. If there hadn't been that leak, she said, Betty and Rainbow wouldn't have met. None of this would have happened, and you would still be able to work here. No, Ocean said. I wouldn't have wanted that. I'm glad they met because now they can be happy together, even if that means Betty spends more time here than she does at home. I wouldn't trade that for anything. Nancy, Bess, and George said their goodbyes to Ocean, though George still didn't feel that bad for him. He was responsible for his own actions, and he'd chosen to do what he did. They walked down a long hall toward the gift shop where Mrs. Pack was waiting with their friends. Nancy, Lily called out, Belinda's giving us all a special treat because you found Rainbow. Lily held up a giant lollipop with swirling greens and blues in it. It was covered in a plastic wrapper that had the River Heights Wildlife Center logo on it. Nancy glanced around, realizing all of her classmates were holding one. And these are for you, Belinda said, handing Nancy, Bess, and George one. It's a small token to say thank you. But I want you to know, anytime you come here, you'll be given the VIP treatment. Just ask for me, and I'll give you a private tour. You've missed so much of today because you were solving this mystery for us. I want you to enjoy yourselves the next time you're here. Mrs. Pack patted Nancy on the back, prouder than ever. You did well, girls, she laughed. Now, come on. We have to get on the bus. All of Nancy's classmates came over and congratulated them, giving them high fives and a few cheers. Harry and Liam said they took all the mealworms out of the girls' backpacks and told Nancy they thought what she did was really cool. It seemed like they were starting to be more impressed with the Clue Crew than they were with Antonio Alfano. Here's a picture of the girls with their huge lollipops. Have you ever seen lollipops that big? Sometimes you can see them at Walmart or at different stores. It'd take forever to eat one of those. As Nancy and her friends trailed behind the group, they heard a familiar voice call out behind them. Nancy, wait 1 minute! They turned to see Bob with a huge smile on his face. He stepped toward them and gave them a tiny bow, like they were royalty. I just wanted to say thank you, he said. And you were right. I never should have doubted you. No, you should have, Nancy laughed. And you're welcome. Then they left for the bus, waving at him before they slipped out the door. And that ends our chapter book, The Tortoise and the Scare. I hope you enjoyed it. Kind of feel bad for Ocean, but it seems fair. And it appears that Betty and Rainbow will be able to hang out and still be friends. Looks like everything has a happy ending. Now that we finished reading the book, you can take your final quiz. So click on the video, whether you're in K2, click on that video, or the grades 3-5. Take the last quiz. Remember, any quiz that you give me, any of the answers, that you email me, you are in for the running of a prize when we return at Brighter Choice. I hope you enjoyed our One School, One Book, ladies. Have a good day.